Hey folks, Damien from Southpaw Designs, and today we are going to revisit the most successful project that I've ever built. I posted this video about 5 months ago, and since then I've had over 70 orders for this particular design, as well as thousands of views on the original video. Now, in the first video, I really messed up and fumbled through to make a really good product. But in this project, I'm going to revisit it, show you how I've adjusted things and cleaned things up to create a project that is both a great moneymaker as well as a creative endeavor and something that could really set you apart. One of the key things that you want to be able to do in your business to set yourself apart is to be able to create things that other people don't, to be able to grab a customer's attention and let them see what you can do that others might not be able to do. And that's exactly what this project has done for me. So stick around and we're going to take a look at this entire build from start to finish. The first step is to prepare the wood that we're going to use to create the rings. Now you can glue that up on your own, but I just decided to go to my local home center and get a piece of project board this time because I wanted to try it out and see how that turned out. It's already glued up, it's already sanded down, at least to a rough sanding, so I decided to give it a shot. This entire piece costs about $36 and I can get 2 sets of rings out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and measure and cut it down. Once we have it cut, let's go ahead and put it on our CNC. For a project as big as this, one that's going to be staying on the CNC for as long as it is, I prefer to use screws to hold it down. And then I'm going to use some Oramask. Oramask is great if you're planning on painting your CNC work. And I've also got this little roller that I also use to try to get any bubbles out of it. You want to try to make sure to get any bubbles out of it that you can before you start, because that's going to help it adhere a little bit tighter to the wood and limit the amount that comes loose. All these products that I'm using will be linked down in the description below. Now let's go ahead and get rolling. I'm not going to watch the entire project right here because this part actually takes about 3 hours. I probably could have sped it up a little bit in terms of the speed, my feeds and speeds, but I didn't want to rush it. I would rather take my time and make sure I get a good finished project than try to rush it. Also, let me remind you, these plans are available on my website. The link will be below in the description, and you can download these plans and make your own. From there, while the CNC is doing its thing, I'm going to prep the wood for my clock face. And then let's go ahead and start cutting the rings. Now, because of the fact that this stays on the exact same location, we don't have to check the X and Y, but since you do a bit change, you do want to make sure that you do a Z probe. Now, right here, you'll notice I messed up. Thankfully, I caught it very early. If you notice how rough that cut is on that Oramask, that's because I was using an upcut bit, which actually pulls the fiber up out of the wood. Now that's great in some situations, but right here what I'd like to be using is a downcut bit, because that downcut bit will give a smoother top cut, whereas the bottom will be rough. What you'll also notice as soon as I start going again is that now the Oramask is nice and flat. All those burrs are not there any longer, and so that's going to give us a much better cut. While the CNC is doing its thing, I'll go ahead and prep my wood. I sand it to a 60 grit, then a 120 grit, and then finally I will raise the grain and sand again to 220. Now this is, I'm not even sure exactly what kind of wood this is. It's actually an old board that I had in my shop that I can't even remember where I got. I think I got it out of a barn. It looks like it's maybe maple. If you guys have any experience with this type of wood, please let me know. It's definitely a hardwood. And finally, we will sand to a 220 grit. Give it a nice smooth finish there. Let's check in on our CNC and we see that the circles are starting Now, I chose not to be very aggressive with the depth of cut. I probably could speed it up a little bit, but I was only going about, let's see, this is an 1/8 of an inch bit, so I think I was only going about 0.5 inches per pass. Because of the fact that this is a softwood, I probably could have gone a little bit faster and gone a little bit deeper on each cut, but no big deal. I'll probably speed it up in the future though. One of the nice things about having a CNC is that while it is doing its work, you are free to do other things. So I thought I'd take a little bit of time and clean up my shop. Um, I don't have the best dust collection in the world, so there's constantly dust everywhere, and um, it needs some work sometimes. Now, once the rings are done, I'm going to paint them. Now, you'll notice that I don't actually paint, or I don't actually cover up where the cuts are. A little bit of paint's probably going to get down in there, but not that big of a deal because I have to sand those edges anyway. So what little amount of paint gets down there should be fine. Let's go ahead and move on to the clock face. The clock face goes much faster because all you really have to do is put in your numbers, then your design, and then do the cutout. Then you flip it over. The flip is actually the part that is a little bit of a challenge. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that part right there. I love the clean cuts that a V-bit give, as you can see right there. Now we'll go to our design. This is my local school's logo. This is actually a gift for our former administrator who's moving on to become superintendent. Now, at this point, you'll notice that it's actually cutting where the clock mechanism is going to go. And it's very important that you do this now, as you'll see in just a moment. But before we get into that, let's take a look and see it cutting some of the pocket. This is where you're going to be able to see the day and the day of the week and the month sticking out of that hole. Now, when we flip it over, this should also align with the track so that we can actually see through it, which it will if you follow the steps in this video. All right, while the CNC is finishing, let's pull off that tape. You definitely want to make sure it's dry before you start pulling this off. Otherwise, you run a risk of smudging it and getting some of the paint all over there. Now, one thing that you might notice here is that it looks like the paint did tend to bleed into the wood. Now, there are two possible reasons. One, and probably the most likely reason, is because the wood is a soft wood, so the grain's a little bit looser and it can get down into the wood. No problem, I was able to sand it out, but I would rather prevent that in the future. So what I'm going to do in the next piece, when the clock face comes off, is I'm going to spray it with lacquer to try to seal up those numbers so that it won't bleed as much. And we'll take a look and see how that actually does. You definitely want to take an air gun and spray out as much of it as you can. This is also another reason why you want to make sure that it's dry so none of the dust gets stuck in those numbers with wet paint. All right, let's take a look, and it looks like the front side of our clock face is almost done. Now here's where it gets important that you pay attention, because what we need to do is we need to flip it over, but keep it in the exact same location. All right, in order to accomplish that, what I'll be doing is first off, I'm going to go ahead and put some lacquer on there and let it dry, as I'd mentioned, so that the paint won't bleed as much. Then I'm going to put a hole straight through that clock face into my spoil board. I know you hate to ruin the spoil board, but it is spoil board as the name implies. And I'm going to place a dowel right through there. So now when I actually flip it over, I can place the dowel in that exact same location flipped over, which means that the workpiece will actually be in the exact same spot. So let's flip it over. Find our hole, which actually happens to be almost right there on the T-track, which was unfortunate, but it works. Now, I'd also recommend that you make your tabs a little bit bigger because mine tend to break off like that. And we will now screw it back down and then start cutting the back piece of our design, which is really just going to be 6 tracks as well as the pocket for the clock mechanism. If everything lines up as it should, once the tracks on the top get to the bottom depth, which in this case is about 0.75 inches, you'll notice that they actually do go through and meet up with the pockets that were on the front of the clock. All right, while it's finishing this thing, let's sand off that the spray paint that's on the outside of our rings. Now in the future, I may tape those holes back up so it doesn't do that, but I still need to sand up these edges anyway, so not a big deal. All right, once we're finished, let's go ahead and spray our numbers and our design. Once again, this is my school's logo. Then we'll let that dry overnight. Come back in the next day and let's take off the remaining bits of Aura mask. And I don't know how well you can tell on the screen right now, but the lacquer did do a much better job of keeping a really tight finish with almost no bleeding into the wood. Also, the fact that this is a hardwood may have contributed to that, but either way, it looks great. Sand everything clean, get rid of any little bits of paint that might have gone in there. And the final step is I like to put a French cleat on the back here. So we're going to adhere the French cleat and then also put a little piece of equal depth at the bottom so that way it will sit flush up against the wall. And for the final steps, we would like to take some Minwax finishing wax and wax up those tracks so that the wheels will slide much more smoothly. It's also a good idea to actually to actually wax the wheels themselves. With that finished, one other minor improvement that I'll be making is I'm going to put a little I don't even know what you'd call this, a little piece on the back so that the wheels don't fall off. They're actually going to be stuck on there. I found that with some of the other ones that I've made, those wheels can fall off when you're trying to move it, and so that's a little bit more stable. So let's add the clock mechanism. Always make sure that the pocket for your clock mechanism is deep enough so that you can have that clock shaft stick out. And there we go. Now let's hang it on the wall and marvel at our greatness. I love these types of clocks. They're incredibly unique. They get a lot of attention. People love them. I've gotten so many orders for these types of projects that I can barely keep up with it. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the wheels are manual, so each day you have to actually adjust it. It's not a big deal. I've had a few people make comments about it, saying that they were incredibly disappointed, but it's literally lifting your arm and sliding a piece of wood 1 inch to the left. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something, and I hope you can actually take this and make money in your woodworking business as well. So please, again, if you feel I've earned it, hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, leave a comment, because those interactions really help YouTube to see this as a valuable piece of content and encourages YouTube to continue to promote it out to a wider audience. So thank you guys, and let's get out and make some stuff.